Here are the top stories for today, September 11, 2019. A task force is created in Metro Manila to counter the activities of the left-leaning groups. President Rodrigo Duterte wants to remove brokers at the Bureau of Customs to eliminate corruption. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanal urges the local government units in Mindanao to provide solutions in addressing insurgency. And Malacanang clarifies that the President will certify an all-encompassing anti-discriminatory bill and not the SOGI bill to cover all forms of discrimination.
Good day, I'm Rom Dulfo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story, 2 regional councils in Metro Manila adopted a resolution creating the National Capital Region Task Force to end local communist armed conflict. Metro Manila's Regional Development Council and Regional Peace and Order Council unanimously adopted the resolution during their first joint meeting at the PICC in Pasay City. The task force aims to counter the activities of left-leaning groups in the capital through the improved delivery of basic services to the poor, informative dialogues with vulnerable groups such as college students, and addressing the concerns of people exploited by groups under the Communist Party of the Philippines. NCRPO Chief Major General Guillermo Eleazar, who heads the Regional Peace and Order Council, said the task force would focus on the delivery of basic services as well as the recruitment of activities of alleged communist groups in schools. In 2018, President Duterte signed Executive Order Number 70, which created the NTF-LCAC and enabling a whole-of-nation approach in ridding the country of communist insurgency. The President serves as the chair of the NTF-LCAC. Parents of missing activists staged a peaceful rally on their way to the DOJ. They publicly voiced out their emotions against militant groups who allegedly recruited their children. LV Kaalaman is one of the parents who expressed their frustration against these leftist groups. She said her daughter, Lori V., whom she sent to PUP as senior high school, was recruited by Kabataan Party List. Lori V eventually quit her school and left their family to join the group, according to her mother. She expressed her frustration against Kabataan Party List Representative Sara Ilago and Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate, questioning why her daughter and others have been kept in her headquarters all along while her parents are getting sick from all the troubles and worries searching for them. She also notes while Ilago and Zarate are living a comfortable life inside the air-conditioned office, and while the kids of the militant leaders are sent to La Salle, their children are being brainwashed to become activists that usually ends in joining the NPA rebels. LV and other parents are petitioning the DOJ for a writ of habeas corpus against Sara Ilago to produce the minors who were recruited into the progressive youth groups. Lawyer Ferdinand Topacio supported their cause and accompanied them through the legal proceedings of their case. A newly formed group called League of Parents of the Philippines was also established to express their strong condemnation to militant groups who allegedly brainwash and control the minds of minor students. In other news, following reports by the Agence France Presse saying the worsening traffic in Metro Manila is causing patients to die en route, President Duterte is considering giving ambulance an escort from transport and police authorities. William Theo with the story.
President Duterte said he wants the MMDA and the PNP Highway Patrol Group to pull ambulances through traffic. He, however, warned that those who abuse the use of escorts for cases that are not considered as medical emergencies will be arrested.
I will ask all itong lahat na Metro Manila Highway Patrol, pag may emergency, wag lang yung emergency na nagmamadali ito. Ito minsan yung iba, nagsasakay ng kasi walang emergency, nagsasiren. Pag ganun, huli talaga. Ngayon, pag may nakita sila ng siren, tapos hilain na lang. Nakita mo yung, tapos
parang hagad, sir, ganun? Parang i-escort.
Hilain nila. Itabi nila para makalusot. And maybe that would be a mandatory work for them. Pagka may gon.
Earlier, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo suggested the use of choppers to transport emergency patients to hospitals. The House of Representatives has passed the emergency powers for the president bill in the committee level, while Senate has been uncertain about passing a measure due to fears of corruption. Duterte recalled how a lady senator he did not name raised the possibility that emergency powers may be abused and decided. He said that since the Congress doubted his administration, he would no longer ask for it. He also admitted that he could not clear EDSA before he steps down in 2022. For the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo.
President Duterte on Tuesday night lauded Manila Mayor Isko Moreno for his resolve to clean the city and implement its ordinances. He said he watches the speeches of Yorme Isko during events.
Believe ako sa kanya. Kaya nanonood ako kung nagsasalita siya. Mas mahusay siya kaysa akin. Sa totoo lang. May nakita ako na mas mahusay ang resolve niya kaysa akin. Plus 2 ako sa kanya.
Mayor Isko Moreno had earned a huge following and heaped praises for his sustained efforts to clean Manila since he assumed office. He engaged with several members of the diplomatic corps and even officials of the national government to relay his visions for a greener capital. Mayor Isko also vowed to turn Manila's heritage sites into must-visit destinations for tourists and partnered with the Department of Tourism for the new Manila tourism circuit. He earlier thanked the president for his praises, saying the chief executive was the inspiration for the kind of leadership he displays. Mindanao Development Authority Chair Emmanuel Piñol on Tuesday defended his move to make agriculture one of his focuses, even as critics were saying he was no longer the Agriculture Secretary. More on this and other news in the provinces from Janice Cave.
Criticisms were hurled against Minda Chair Manny Piñol following Minda's Fruits Festival in Luzon and his recent trip to Papua New Guinea, where he forged an agreement for the export of Mindanao rice to the Pacific nation. Under the agreement, PNG's Central Province government will become the importer of Mindanao rice. Piñol said the export opportunities has opened the door for Mindanao farmers to command higher prices, unlike in local traders where farmers are being turned away because it is more profitable to import from Thailand or Vietnam rather than buying the local rice. In other news, the Department of Foreign Affairs opens an authentication service center at the DFA Consular Office located at the Pacific Mall in Mandaue City. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. said the opening of the authentication service on Tuesday will ease the burden of overseas Filipino workers from the Visayas in securing red ribbon papers needed for travel abroad. Meanwhile, the Negros Oriental Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, in cooperation with the Office of the Presidential Advisor of the Visayas, held a two-day activity in Gihilngan City, Negros Oriental, in line with the government's campaign to end local communist insurgency in the province. During Tuesday's Dagyawan sa Barangay, Talakayan sa Mamamayan held at the Gihilngan Gymnasium, the most common problems or issues raised was the lack of access, especially farm-to-market roads, as villagers can hardly bring their produce to the lowlands or markets. OPAV Assistant Secretary Anthony Gerard Gonzalez assured that government services such as issuance of birth certificate, financial assistance to farmers, distribution of fish fingerlings, and dental and medical services are among the basic services being offered to the public. He also said that 40 malasakit centers have already been established, while 41 more are being initiated. The Dagyawan is a consultation held among government agencies and the people to identify the needs, problems, issues, and concerns at the grassroots. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar urges the local government units in Mindanao to provide solutions in addressing insurgency. And several convicts from the provinces who were released through the Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA have submitted themselves to police custody. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
ulat sa ginagawa ng presidente.
August 27, Martes, Quezon City. Dumalo si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa 31st anniversary ng Department of Agrarian Reform.
As we highlight our accomplishments and milestones in implementing CARP, let us never lose sight of the primary aim of this program, which is to uphold the welfare of the landless, farmers, promote social justice, and attain sound rural development through the equitable distribution of all agricultural lands across the country.
August 29, Huwebes. Sa official visit ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa China ay nagkaroon ng bilateral meeting sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa sa pangunguna ni Pangulong Duterte at Chinese President Xi Jinping. Sinaksihan din ng dalawang leader ang pagpirma sa ilang kasunduan sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at China. August 30, Biyernes, Beijing, China. Nagkaroon din ng bilateral meeting sina Pangulong Duterte at Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Nag-courtesy call sa Pangulo ang ilang opisyal mula sa Philippine construction industry na nasa China rin upang bumuo ng business partnerships sa kanilang Chinese counterparts. Nag-courtesy call din sa Pangulo ang mga business leaders mula sa Chinese International Chamber of Commerce for the private sector. Kasunod nito ay pinangunahan ni Pangulong Duterte ang Philippines-China Business Forum sa Grand Hyatt, Beijing.
The Philippines is one of the fastest growing economies in the region and in the world. We have grown for the past 82 consecutive quarters and recorded above 6% annual growth rate since 2012. To sustain this positive trajectory, we have embarked on a historic build program under which we welcome more Philippine-Chinese cooperation.
Nakisaya sina Pangulong Duterte at Chinese President Xi Jinping sa opening ceremony ng 2019 FIBA World Cup. August 31, Sabado, Foshan, China. Personal na pinuntahan ni Pangulong Duterte ang Gilas Pilipinas basketball team sa kanilang locker room bago magumpisa ang kanilang laban kontra Italy sa 2019 FIBA World Cup. At nanood ang Pangulo sa laban ng Gilas Pilipinas kontra Italy. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
President Duterte says he would want to remove brokers at the Bureau of Customs to curb corruption within the agency. In a media interview after the oath-taking rites of Malacanang Press Corps on Tuesday night, the president blamed brokers and examiners for the corruption in customs. The president said he would be able to cut corruption overnight if brokers are removed. Instead of brokers, the president suggested allowing the BOC to accredit persons other than brokers to arrange their shipments. The president said he would not wait for Congress to pass a law eliminating brokers at the BOC.
Ang gusto ko, wala ng brokers. Pagka may brokers, may corruption talaga yan. Ngayon, sinasabi ko, sabihin mo sa Pilipino, kung gusto talaga nila walang corruption, tanggalin na natin yan mga gross, wala ng examiner, sa customs, wala ng brokers. Ang kumpanya ng PADA, may accreditation lang sila. Sila na mismo ang magtrabaho doon. Take away the brokers and you would have cut corruption overnight in a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe you have reduced corruption to about 8 and 1.
Residential customers of Meralco will enjoy another round of rate reduction in their September billing for the 5th straight month. Power rates will drop at 52 cents per kilowatt hour, giving a reduction of about 105 pesos for those in the 200 kilowatt hour consumption range. Meralco said the latest electricity rate or decrease has resulted in a total reduction of 1 peso and 52 cents per kilowatt hour. This was primarily due to lower charges from the wholesale electricity spot market or WESM, which led to the lowering of the generation charge along with adjustments in transmission charge and taxes. The significant downtrend had been mainly attributed to the non-occurrence of yellow or red alerts in the power system, which should have signaled tightness in supply. The National Economic and Development Authority has proposed building strategic relationships, addressing issues, and boosting competitiveness in agriculture and manufacturing for the Philippines to withstand global challenges. NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia said exports remained resilient during the second quarter of 2019. This despite challenges such as trade tensions between the U.S. and China, the bleak outlook in Europe, and the uncertainty of the future of Brexit. The Philippines registered the third highest exports growth among selected Asian economies following Thailand and Vietnam. Pernia said the country's manufacturing sector is expected to sustain its growth despite the overall decline in global manufacturing. He adds, sustaining this optimism may find relevance in the government's goal of attracting foreign investments in the country. Pernia also underscored the importance of addressing issues in the Philippine agriculture sector, such as the decline in the price of rice. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar is calling on the Regional Task Force to end local communist armed conflict to provide solutions to the causes of conflict. At the same time, he urged government agencies in northern Mindanao to demonstrate good governance, to regain the people's trust and ensure effective anti-insurgency measures. The Presidential Communications Operations Office said addressing insurgency in the country should not rely on military efforts alone. During the meeting, Andanar and local leaders discussed updates on Region 10 projects in priority areas, as well as corresponding action plans. The implementation of the projects under Convergence Areas for Peace and Development, or CAPDEV, the task force's banner program, has also been discussed during the RTF-LCAC meeting. CAPDEV aims to promote peace and development while empowering communities through peace building and reconciliation, socio-economic transformation, good governance, and institution building. Several convicts from the provinces who were released through the Good Conduct Time Allowance, or GCTA, have submitted themselves to police custody. This after President Duterte ordered that all convicts who have been released early would be sent back to jail. More on this from Teresa Montemayor.
Two former convicts who were released from prison last year through the Good Conduct Time Allowance, or GCTA, surrendered to the police in Bayambang, Pangasinan on Sunday. The two ex-convicts served 30 years in prison since October 1988 for robbery with rape and homicide charges. The two chose to surrender to the police following the order of President Rodrigo Duterte for prisoners who were released through a law that reduces an inmate's sentence due to good conduct since 2014 to be sent back to prison. Two convicts from Negros Occidental, who were also released after availing of the GCTA, have surrendered to the police on Monday afternoon. One who was convicted for homicide surrendered to the Calatrava Municipal Police Station, while the other, who was sentenced for frustrated homicide, turned himself in at Castellana Police Station. Police are coordinating with the Bureau of Corrections after taking the two into custody. 7 heinous crime convicts who availed of the GCTA in Iloilo already surrendered to different police stations. Among the heinous crimes committed by the convicts are murder, rape, robbery with homicide, robbery in band, and kidnapping. The Iloilo police record shows that the province has 24 personalities who availed of the GCTA. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Up next, Malacanang clarifies that the President will certify an all-encompassing anti-discrimination bill and not the SOGI Equality Bill to cover all forms of discrimination. And local agencies in the provinces have stepped up efforts to prevent the spread of African swine fever. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Golden Jubilee of our diplomatic relations is an important time for our two countries to take stock at the great strides in a strong partnership and dynamic cooperation.
The visit is especially timely since Singapore and the Philippines are commemorating the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic ties this year. The economic ties between our two countries are strong and robust, but President Duterte and I agreed that we can do even more together. There is room to further boost trade and investment flows.
With the agreement signed today, we take first of our eager steps toward the next half of century of our natural, mutual, reinforcing, and beneficial partnership. With mutual trust, respect, and abiding amity, I am confident that we will achieve our shared goals and aspirations of our people.
President Duterte is eyeing the passage of an all-encompassing anti-discrimination bill in place of a proposed measure on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. The clarification comes after Duterte bared on Tuesday night plans to certify as urgent the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity and Expression Equality Bill, or SOGI Equality Bill. Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo said what the president wants is that all kinds of classes will be protected from any form of discrimination, and that will include the LGBTQ community. Meanwhile, PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde said there is no need to pass the SOGI bill as the Constitution provides equal rights to every Filipino. Albayalde said he believes the government cannot make laws that is tailor-fit to a certain group or person only. Albayalde said while there is no room for discrimination, compliance with basic laws remains supreme. Local agencies in the provinces have stepped up efforts to prevent the spread of African swine fever through information drives and intensified monitoring. More on this from Benj Bondok.
The local government of Davao City has started intensifying of monitoring and information drive to prevent the entry of African swine fever. Councilor Melchor Kitain Jr. said the local government has already formed the African Swine Fever Task Force, which, along with concerned groups from the private sector, is conducting information dissemination in the barangays. The ASF-TF will have the support of technical support teams that will be responsible for the preservation and protection of the city's swine industry. Meanwhile, Negros Occidental Governor Eugenio Jose Lacson on Tuesday appealed to travelers not to bring in pork in the wake of the confirmed cases of African swine fever in Luzon. Lacson chairs the provincial ASF task force, which he formed last month to ensure the protection of the 6 billion swine industry of the province. Negros Occidental is the Philippines' top backyard swine producer, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. In other news, the Department of Agriculture Region 10 said Monday it has activated its multi-sectoral task force to address the entry of the ASF into the country. The Regulatory Law Enforcement Council has already been put in place following the announcement of Agriculture Secretary William Dar on the presence of ASF in the country. It said quarantine personnel are monitoring the movement of imported meat, while the DA has focused on disseminating information to all industry stakeholders. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
The Tourism Department is training Filipino tour guides to further cater to the growing numbers of Chinese tourists in the Philippines. DOT National Capital Region Director Woodrow Makiling Jr. said they are in the process of accepting applications for a month-long Mandarin tour guide training. He said the country's top market is Chinese aside from Koreans, which is why it is important that tour guides can speak Mandarin. For the first half of 2019, Makiling said 16 out of 20 tour guides were already certified, with the second batch of trainees starting their language courses in October. The rapid growth in Chinese tourists is evident, with over 1 million Chinese nationals visiting the country last year, about 30.71% higher than the numbers in 2017. A survey on wellness shows the Baweños feel good about their health. This even as residents of Davao City are revealed to be frequent smokers and drinkers. The PhilCare Wellness Index also showed the Baweños lack in preparedness for medical emergencies. It states the Baweños and Mindanaoans appear to be ambivalent when it comes to saving and investing. Despite this, the Baweños scored themselves a good rating of 2.46 points as compared to somewhat good nationwide South rating of 2.84. On the other hand, Cebuanos and Visayans in general are able to sleep well and are not that much pressed for time as against most Filipinos. They explained that Cebuanos and Visayans are not into vices such as smoking, vaping, and drinking alcohol as much as most Filipinos. Meanwhile, a majority of Filipinos said they intend to finance their medical expenses from savings or debt. The PhilCare study will be available as a reference for government agencies implementing the Universal Healthcare Law. Let's check out the weather forecast for Pag-asa. The tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility is estimated at 1,390 kilometers east of Dagat Camarines Norte. It has slightly intensified and is now moving in east-northeastward direction. The tropical depression is forecast to enter the Philippine area of responsibility within 48 hours and will be named Marilyn. The trough of the tropical depression and the southwest monsoon will bring scattered light to moderate rains, with at times heavy rains during thunderstorms over Mindanao provinces, Romblon, Marinduque, northern portion of Palawan including Calamian and Cuyo Islands, Visayas, and Bicol region. This weather disturbance is likely to make landfall in the country. The southwest monsoon will bring cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms over Visayas, while Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rains or thunderstorms. Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
A task force is created in Metro Manila to counter the activities of the left-leaning groups. President Rodrigo Duterte wants to remove brokers at the Bureau of Customs to eliminate corruption. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanal urges the local government units in Mindanao to provide solutions in addressing insurgency. And Malacanang clarifies that the President will certify an all-encompassing anti-discriminatory bill and not the SOGI bill to cover all forms of discrimination.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, check our website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags on all our social media platforms and websites. And that's our daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Rom Dulfo. Good day.